Leo
Yeah.
coming in next?
Uh,
Who's next?
yeah, sit out. Yeah. You guys take chairs and we'll rotate you in.
Asio.
How long do you guys have the booth for?
I think 1 hour.
An hour?
2 hours.
Oh,
Oh,
2
two.
hours?
Nice. About to do a podcast, so we'll have.
Monica?
Yes.
You're Monica of CryptoConexión, yes?
Yeah.
Welcome to Let's Grow.
Thank you.
Let's grow!
Let's grow. I'm excited.
I'm so excited to see you, meet you, and have you.
See the value of having a case. If I didn't have the case, that phone would have shattered. Why is my. Now we can set this up here.
Mic check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2.
1, 2, 1.
Can you hear me?
I
One,
don't
two,
know
one,
that they're
two.
going to be able to hear us with these mics, though, on the spaces.
Oh.
And my phone's sliding. I'm definitely going to need some more volume. Plus, Jimmy's broadcasting.
Yeah, he's doing live from the other event.
Well, he's not doing it through the Let's Grow account, so that's good. There we go. I don't think if we're talking like this, is that going to be close enough that they can hear us?
I have no idea.
You hear me?
But I can hear you. Can you hear me? You can hear us.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
But do you think they're going to be able to hear us?
There's only one way to find out.
Okay.
You guys hear me?
We need a technical director from out there when we start the space.
Is Liquid Death our sponsor?
No, he said he already, I guess so. I think they said they already started it.
Yeah, they're recording.
He's already recording.
No,
'cause
no,
he
I
needed to
mean
go.
for the X space.
Ah, okay. They're busy chatting.
Are you,
Let's see.
you're going to be the moderator?
Let's grow. Oh, look at that. Woo. Yeah, I'll kick us off and we'll be the moderator. Should I be the face? You want me to be the face?
Yeah.
You want me to be the face? I don't need this. Get that out
You
of
don't
my-
need liquid death.
No. We're already recording up
Yeah,
here.
we're good.
Yes, yes, we're recording.
Okay. So let's kick this off. Welcome to Let's Grow Live at ETH Denver. This is your host, Will T, and we're bringing the Regen conversation to ETH Denver. I'm joined here today with some amazing people that I've surrounded myself with over the past, 8 months since I've been on this journey going down into Regenlandia. So, if you're tuning in out there, pleasure to see you out there. We're not going to have anybody in the X space be able to engage with us except through the show commentary space, the comments section. So put your comments in if you have any questions as we go through this programming today. We are on for 2 hours, and let's kick it off with my good friend, Jerry, WTF. How are you today, friend?
Great and grateful as always. Thank you so much. I'm ready to grow. Let's grow.
All right. I'm also joined here by another good friend of mine, Lassie Dottie. Lassie,
Hello, hello.
welcome to the show.
Such a pleasure to be here. Always nice to hear your voice. What a nice greeting. And to talk about our favorite subjects, sustainability, blockchain, and collaboration.
Woohoo. We also have on this opening panel Monica from CryptoConexión.
Hola, hola. Aquí lo voy a decir en español. Vamos a crecer. Let's grow. Doing a little Spanglish here for us today.
Yeah, amen,
Love some
amen.
Spanglish.
All right. So, what is the Let's Grow DAO, right? I feel that the core members have done a good job of not only quantifying that, but also qualifying that, right? Monica, you're a recent community member of the Let's Grow DAO. What does the Let's Grow DAO mean to you?
So the Let's Grow DAO for me means three things. One, community. I've found this community that has really enriched me. I feel like everybody here has uplifted CryptoConexión. They've really welcomed us. The second is the regeneration part. It is so important that we bring this message to Latin America. And the third part is that we're going to grow together. So those are the three things that it means for me.
Amen. Amen. Um, let's see. Where are we going to go with this conversation? We're going to travel down a little regen avenue, right? Glassy, you have a affection for sustainability and blockchain, right? With that being said, what to you is the attractant to that type of focus?
One thing that I think is especially powerful is getting over limiting factors that might happen in a very specific region. This is actually a conversation I'm having very recently with some people in Oklahoma, and they're talking about like, well, our roads are terrible because there's not enough people, there's not enough taxes to support building roads. And I'm thinking to myself, well, here's an interesting thing where maybe the local economy and tax base can't support that, but what a great opportunity to maybe supply a economic layered system where people from a very far geographic region may have an economic incentive to make investments that could then power these roads, which by their very nature are an economic driver, which actually could be capturing energy through their, depending on how they're built. So the idea that you could be a specialist at a subject that actually integrates innovation and has a new funding route because it's not relying on traditional maybe procurement from governments to do things. Maybe it's not relying on the local tax base or their local population that might just not be dense enough yet to support that economically. But by breaking that down, having a fractional system where other people have an actual economic incentive to lend that money, perhaps, it could be a simple thing like that, whether it be a lending protocol or otherwise, or tokenomic systems that actually can supply the economic need to develop that is going to supply very needed infrastructure. And I use roads as an example, but I think that could be any kind of project.
Well, Glassy, that sounds to me like you're a regen.
I've been called worse.
Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. Part of the Let's Grow DAO effort is about growing the regen movement. Part of that effort is also educating people from the degen mindset into a regen mindset. Jerry, do you want to speak real quick to what that effort kind of looks like in your world?
To be perfectly honest, the degen to regen is an easy transfer. It's something that every degen that I know of, every single one of them, they would like clean air, clean water, clean soil. Everyone. And they want to have something involved. They just don't know about us yet. And I think that that's something that we have definitely not been able to get across as much as we would like, is what regenerative finance is and how decentralized finance plays into that, right? You've got to have the DeFi, and that's where all your degens are, to come into the refi space. Sorry?
Get a little closer. Yeah,
There we go.
Like
Yes.
that.
Think that'll help?
That
Yeah.
will.
Does that get me there?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Can you guys hear me? Maybe I should have done that like mic check, mic check.
No,
One,
we
two,
can hear
one,
you.
two.
We can
Yeah, it's
hear
much
you.
better now.
We got you. We got you, bro. We got you.
So one of the things that I'm particularly focused on is not just taking degens and making them into regens, but also taking the broader population that has no idea what a degen or a regen or refi or crypto or anything else happens to be, and let them know what blockchain and blockchain technologies can really do for them and why it should matter to them. So I work for another magazine that's outside of this space in order to be able to integrate that and let them know. So interviewing all of the people around an ETH Denver conference, talking to them about, if they are already DeFi folks, getting them into the refi idea so we can regen this world. And if they have no idea, then taking them into the journey of what blockchain can do for them and all of the people that are in blockchain. People forget that it's not just a technology, it's not a Google, it's not a faceless thing. We're all individual builders in this space doing something. Individual people with passions, lives, journeys that we've been on that brought us to here. And having that conversation put out there, that story told to a broader population, I think is how we're going to grow this movement. And from the ground up, as we have to grow everything, right? Plant the seeds, let it grow, put some water.
I love it. I love it. for my own personal journey, um, embracing the regenerative mindset was a natural transition for me. When I first came into the space, yeah, I mean, when I first got into NFTs, there's a high attractant to FOMOing into almost everything, right? Um, but I've kind of tempered that a bit in my journey into the regenerative world. A natural transition for me because my childhood, I grew up being an avid bird watcher. I grew up with a family that was supportive of being friendly to the environment. So for me, it's just getting back to the roots of where I was grounded in my youth. And it's a beautiful experience, 1000% for sure. Um, so, Monica, you do a lot of work with Latam communities. You do a lot of work with women in this space, right? Um, do you want to talk a little bit about boots on the ground effort and what other people who may be watching from afar, what they can do to support those boots on the ground efforts?
That's a great question. I think the first thing to understand is that Latin America is very different by country, right? Every country's coming into blockchain or crypto in a different way. It could be through remittances, it could be because of their economy and the lack of instability or inflation, or it can be just because of innovation like Brazil. You also have to keep in mind that you need to look at different languages, English, Spanish, and Portuguese, when you think about Latin America. So having a very good understanding of the local issues and challenges is great. I think the other part of it is there's also different challenges when it comes to sustainability, and there's great projects. One of my favorite projects, we all know Carlos from Gitcoin, or formerly from Gitcoin, but he has Web3 Beach, where he has people clean up beaches. They pay them with crypto, but then they onboard businesses to accept crypto. And so those are the type of projects or initiatives that I think if we can all support, can really onboard more people into the ecosystem. And then on the women's side, I was actually just here doing another podcast with a group of women. And it's funny because they were being challenged of why we're creating women communities, women focused communities. And we talked about we need that safe space because there's challenges or things that maybe some men are not thinking about. So it's not about separating men or women, but empowering women so they can better integrate into the ecosystem. We work with about 40 communities of women in Latin America, in Peru, in Mexico City, all have different approaches to onboarding women, and that's why we really like the localized efforts.
So it would be fair to say that there are very distinctive, not only economic differences in Latam, but cultural differences that vary by country to country.
Absolutely, and different areas, right? One of the things that fascinates me is how in Mexico you do see people in crypto all over the country, while in Argentina I feel like it's a little bit more centralized to Buenos Aires, to the capital. So you also have to keep in mind that we need to go broader beyond just thinking of the country, but the different cities and regions.
Yeah, and I resonate with that a lot because I have a friend who is in Ecuador and she's in Nevada, right? And when I talked to her about Quito, the capital, it's like a completely different universe.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
awesome. Pitch it back over here to Glassy real quick. Um, what I would say with the current work you're doing within the ecosystem, is there a pathway into the regen territory, into regeneration?
Yeah, I think from my sensibility, I think in terms of like a user experience, I think about like the pain I suffer, and then I try to think about like what kind of pain are other people suffering, and how do we create a user experience that either maybe helps them through that, maybe alleviate some of that suffering, or maybe it's just full blown. Here's a trail to avoid it. Like here's the other infrastructure that might empower you. And I think when it comes to the current state of our planet, there's a lot of logistic inequality. Like we could take it to a personal level and like a victimization and like a back and forth level, or we could just say like, and those things are true also. But if we were to take it purely from like data and logistics, we say there's too much of this here and it needs to get moved over here. There's not enough information, not enough teachers, not enough maybe gamified learning in certain areas. There's not enough food growing in certain areas. And it takes away from the user experience. There's higher sickness because there's not access to rich, nutrient rich food. So, from a user experience standpoint, I think we need to start addressing these things from a systematic level and start employing all these crazy like methodologies that people have been testing, open source technology, right? We don't have to be stingy and proprietary with our technology. We could learn. We could have collective learning. Collective intelligence could get us further. I think the same thing happens for information, technology, licensing. There's scales of economy. And when we can actually start leveraging those systems, we'll empower the people and there'll be an economic incentive that's embedded.
I love it. I love it. So, would you say that the user experience and the human experience are interchangeable?
Yeah, like in my opinion, I'm saying user experience, but it's really a more, I think you said a better word. It's like the life experience. It's like, what is it like to get educated? What is it like to find a mentor, right? And that doesn't just not when you're a kid. Like I found a mentor that was made a huge difference just 3 or 4 months ago. So I think that goes to professional and like reinforcing. I think that goes to socialization. Like I think at the end of the day, it's about connectivity. Like the human isolated has weakness and suffering, but a human with intelligence and a human connected is going to have a much richer experience.
Amazing. Amazing. Um, Donnie, I mean, Jerry. Sorry. My bad.
Donnie Jerry.
Donnie Jerry. Donnie Jerry. Being so closely tied for as long as you have in the fashion industry, right? I'm sure everybody's heard your story multiple times as part of, GG18, GG19, what have you, right? Um, in your current day to day, you shared with me that what you're working on is regenerative nature. How do you see that evolving over the course of the next 2 to 5 years?
Which portion of the regenerative nature, the work that I'm doing in fashion, the work that I'm doing in other aspects?
Let's talk about the other aspects.
Okay, so incubating and growing the green tech investment firms and finding new ways for people to. This microphone doesn't like me. The camera's better. I like the camera. But the microphone.
You like the camera?
Yeah, the camera's good.
You like the new video on Spaces?
The new video on Spaces is a trippy idea. I love this. This is great.
Cool.
I don't know how many of you guys have been involved with it, but it just came out, what, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's amazing. So it's the first time I've been using it. It's nice. Anyway, so working inside of the green tech investment firms and doing those kinds of things to help innovators and people outside of Web3 get involved inside Web3 and grow their products and grow their innovations globally, I think it's something that we can actually achieve. And that is the way that we go about doing that is with a new, relatively new program at Veritas, which is incubating all of these different projects. So we have sustainable packaging. We have working on creating biomass and getting it utilized in the most efficient way possible so that there is zero waste for it, whether that is turning it into feed, however works in the most carbon efficient manner for that. Those kinds of innovations and being able to scale them and then put them and implement them around the world and share that knowledge and share those learnings is one of the things that I'm very passionate about right now. I've been working also, with a very simple thing. I do love the simplicity of bringing people on board to Web3 and also doing something good, right? Just do something good. Do anything good. So the Weeb Try Better is a project. It's basically a Web 2 project. We sell an NFT at the end when we collect 1,000,000 good deeds. But it is basically, you can go from anywhere, you do something good for the planet, do a positive action. And that positive action, you upload it on the website, WeTryBetter.com. We put it in our mosaic to create our Atlas Jerry. And that is then sold and gives back to charity and gives back to the people that were doing the work and doing the good deeds. And there's several things with that. The first thing that I really think that is important with We Try Better and just doing something good is the human aspect. It is the individual aspect of if you go out and you do something positive and something that you know to be positive, something that you know is a good deed that you're doing for the world, for the planet, you feel better about yourself. You feel better about yourself, you have a better day. The people around you have a better day. It's exponential growth from a single good deed. And the more you do it, the more you feel it. Consistency breeds resiliency. Resiliency makes you who you are and allows you to traverse any adversity. So those are the reasons why I've been doing this, what it means to me and how I've gone about doing it, and multiple different fronts, I guess.
No
Does
doubt.
that answer your question, or did I ramble?
No, you're good. And you threw in a little soft shell there, so I like it. We don't call that showing, we call it sharing. Anyways, Glassy over here too. I wonder if we turn this device, if we get more like a landscape on the video.
That you saw? Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm not sure. We can do that real quick. So anyways, just for the viewing audience, Glassy also spent some time in the fashion industry. So I'm going to pose this question to both of you. We'll do a little popcorn style, and then we may rotate in some other guest speakers as well. So I'm going to flip it to Glassy first. The fashion industry, as we know, is very wasteful and extractive in the traditional sense. What needs to change in order for them to embrace the paradigm shift into Web3?
Why did you have to make the hardest question for me?
No, it's for both you and Jerry, so you just get to take it first.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is greed. That's a big thing to have to change. I don't know if we're going to see that change in our lifetime.
All right, Glassy, is that a fashion industry thing, or is that just a human thing, though?
Well, my first thought goes to fast fashion.
Yeah.
My first thought goes to fast fashion. My first thought jumps to wearing a shirt one time and you like it so much, you wear it, you wash it, and then you're like, the shirt fell apart. Like, I wouldn't even feel good wearing it a second time.
Yeah.
How much waste, how much water, how much electricity, how many rivers got poisoned with that dye, right? For me to wear it one time, and that's not necessarily my greed. I'm not trying to find the cheapest possible thing ever. I'm out shopping, so oftentimes at a reputable store. So it's just so pervasive, and it's also so separate from. All right, here's a better answer. People need to have a closer connection to the suffering that was part of that garment. Here's a more productive answer. Because I think people, like, they don't know. Like, if you're smoking a cigarette every day, you don't know how black your lungs look, right? It might be not until someone tells a really funny joke. They tell a really funny joke, and then you hear yourself wheezing. You're like, ooh, I need to cut back, right? That's like, but you hear a symptom. But when you buy a fast fashion, you don't really have a symptom. You don't know a river got poisoned. You don't know what the conditions were in the environment where it got made. So I think transparency needs to bring in a sense of empathy for the suffering that actually was attached to the items that we buy, and the overarching conditioning being more one of, let me buy something that costs more and will last decades, maybe even my whole lifetime, rather than going to buy something that I might be able to wear for a season and then have to buy another one 3 months later.
And while we wait for Jerry to think about his answer, I want to say just kind of not really a counterpoint, but just an add-on, I guess. That would even go to the layer of the supply chain level as well, right?
Yeah.
That type of change. And I think
Kind of like seed to sale. Like
Yeah.
what they do to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're like, you knew the factory, you know who cut it, you know if you had every touch point. Now we have blockchain. Now we have NFC chips and things that as actually could be attained to actually track the provenance of the garments and even to where it was grown, even to the point of pesticides being on the crops that the food was. I mean that the cotton or whatever it might be, and then women have intimate items made from that cotton, and then they're getting sick from it.
Amazing, amazing. Um, so Jerry, same question over to you. And I feel like we're seeing this with a lot of industries, especially creative arts industries that are already predatory in nature in the traditional sense. So, same question to you. What specifically in the fashion industry needs to change in order for them to embrace the paradigm shift of Web3?
There, there are a lot of things that really need to change in the fashion industry. To be perfectly honest with that, I mean, Leslie touched on some of them there with the idea of transparency. Transparency is one of the most important things that you're going to have. Getting them to reveal that is trickier than one would think because inside the fashion industry, there is an idea of my sources are my most valuable asset. I can't let everybody know where I get all of my things. Otherwise, everybody's going to get all of my things. And then I'm not the exclusive purveyor of these items. They will open it up to everybody else. So it's very difficult to try to convince them that this is an important aspect that they are going to have to do and embrace in order to solve the problems that their industry is having and the fashion industry is having. The second part is the mindset of the population. You mentioned fast fashion as well. Fast fashion is alive and well and kicking for a simple reason that we have a consumer addicted nature, and fashion by its very essence is newness. It is the next thing. And getting over this idea of the next thing and translating it into the best thing is going to be a bit of a tricky thing. It's going to be a hard sell for a lot of fashion victims out there and for all of the companies that are making a load of money off of it. It's a very difficult thing as well. So a shift in the mindset away from I need the new thing now needs to happen. And that's really going to have to come out from the consumer side, and it comes from us and regens and refi people that want to make that change and get that idea out there to the masses. Once again, communication, education. Don't be fooled by the greenwashing aspects of it. We just have new laws that came across in Europe right now, which are fantastic, that make you go through an extensive vetting process to be able to put any kind of eco claim on it and then make it provable. We need that to expand worldwide. I would think is the one of the first things that we can do legally to make a shift globally for the fashion industry, which is the fourth most polluting industry there is on this planet.
Can I ask a question? It's a
Before you do,
Yeah.
you may ask your question, but before you do, I'm going to tap out because we've got some really strong panel members, and I want to bring on another person since we're on this conversation of fashion right now who can really speak to it because right now this is their day to day, and what they're seeing in their career, I feel could add value to this conversation. So I'm going to tap out for a few minutes. I'm going to bring on another good friend of ours, Colum, onto the show. And you guys jam about fashion. And Monica, you can be moderator and ask all the questions you want. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So Colum is going to come in and take my spot. And I'll be back in a few minutes. And you guys let me know when you're ready for me to come back in.
You'll sit over there. Okay. So before I ask my question, we can ask her to introduce herself. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
So if we could just do a quick introduction and then I'll ask a question.
Okay,
About
great.
this close.
You have to be a little
Okay.
bit close.
All
You'll
right.
hear when you
Okay.
can't be heard.
Like right here?
Yeah,
So-
you're good.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Right. Hi, my name is Colum. I am a model primarily, but my role in this space is focused on onboarding, sustainable fashion, and I started off in the space in February 2023. I got my space or my start with Clubhouse. I was onboarded in like NFTs.tips. I met Glassy and a bunch of other cool people. I initially got into the space for making one-on-ones, but I fell in love with onboarding and started a project that was focused on onboarding. So I turn up to Post in Houston, Texas every month to onboard the general public. But besides that, I have a project that also focuses on sustainable fashion. I hand paint denim jackets. Everything is recycled and sustainably sourced. So it's been really great making like art out of things that people quote unquote don't want. And the ultimate goal is to build like an upcycling factory. So that's basically a little bit about me. For those of you that missed it, my name is Colum, and thank you so much for tuning into this podcast.
Great. Thank you, Colm. I have a question about, so the other day, and I live in the US, I hadn't been to the mall in a long time. The mall was empty and every store was full of stuff. Do you think that the fact that we're not seeing that much waste because we're doing everything online is impacting the fact that people are buying more and more stuff? I mean, I know people that buy stuff on Amazon clothes every day. Do you think that the fact that you're not seeing all these other things has an impact, a negative impact, or do you think it has nothing to do with people just want to buy what they want to buy? Classy.
I think it. I think anything unseen is easy to overlook. Um, yeah, if you're detached from it, you don't know. Like if you saw like giant boats of like perfectly good things, like bringing things to a dump, maybe that has a visual impact.
Yeah.
People are pretty busy in their life though, so it's kind of hard. Like if they're just struggling to get by and they're not feeling emotionally complete, and then that like moment of like satisfaction might just come from the fact that they do have a few dollars so they can buy something and have like that little moment of like that, even if it's a fleeting moment, doesn't we all know it doesn't actually bring real happiness,
Right.
but it's just like that moment. So I think it's a bigger social economic situation than just seeing or not seeing the waste.
Colin, any thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely think that being online, it does have an impact on it. I was just talking the other day about sustainability and how, like, at thrift stores, it's not necessarily the same because, like, people that do economically, like, would in the past go to thrift stores, they just shop online. They shop at like Shine or Temu, and it's important that like we all keep that in mind when approaching sustainable fashion because a lot of times sustainable fashion is inaccessible, and so like making sustainable fashion more accessible is like a part of like the goal, and like encouraging people to keep clothes instead of like continuing to buy online, or even like for example hit up like store closings. Like a lot of people like fail to realize like it's okay to like go to a store closing, buy a bunch of clothes because all that stuff is going to a landfill. So it's just important to like consider like how much, like even if it is quote unquote fast fashion, like things that you would see at a department store, like go pick that up. If it's gonna be like a part of that capsule wardrobe, use it, keep it. That's gonna go way further than spending 200 bucks on a piece that you're gonna wear once and never again.
Yeah, I saw the other day a woman doing a whole thing on thrift stores in Europe, and everything was so cheap and so beautiful. And I was like, we don't think about thrift stores anymore as we should.
Yeah, that is very true.
Certainly. I mean, one of the things that I love and was championed by a really good friend of mine, Patrick Duffy at the Global Fashion Exchange, is swapping. So he sets up swap shops all over the world and sets them up so that people can come in and teaches them how to run them all themselves. And swapping is a very, very good way. If you have good pieces that you just don't wear anymore, take them in, you trade them in with people that are like you. It is one of the most beautiful experiences and ways to exchange the clothing, giving second life to your clothes. And it costs you nothing, right? It's not even going to shop. But to go back to your question about do I think that it makes any difference whether people see the excess that is in the stores all the time? I do not. I don't think that it ever has influenced them. If you go in and you look at a Walmart, if you go in and look at a mall, if you do anything, it doesn't influence people to see how much is there. They don't care. That's not a problem. I think Glassy hit the nail on the head though with if you see what happens with the waste, that makes an impact. If there was some way to get some idea that all of this stuff isn't this beautiful stuff in this shop. All of this stuff is this pile in the Atacama deserts in Chile that they can't get rid of, and they burn, and they're trying to get rid of, and it's just plastic that winds up in the oceans again. You're like, well, we put it in the desert. You're like, yes, but do you know what a water cycle does? It picks things up and it moves stuff around, and it winds up everywhere. Being able to translate that to somebody would be, I think, a very, very impactful way, but people don't want to see it. They don't want to look at it. And buying things online, keeping everybody, I guess, siloed online to do all of their shopping online, that is all of the merchants, all of the major designers, all of the shops that would have these stores inside the malls and everything. That is their goal. They would rather you be there than have their stuff in the stores. It's much cheaper. It's much more cost effective for them. You are more likely to buy more things and return it than you are from a store because you don't want to physically inconvenience yourself. They don't care as long as you buy it initially. So I don't think it makes any difference, honestly. If, seeing that there's excess in the store, I don't think it bothers people.
Is anybody in blockchain doing that, trying to show either the supply chain or showing, like you said, right? So nobody's doing it yet?
None that I've heard.
Anybody?
But it could be done. Are people doing it?
Digital ID. So I've been working with digital ID for quite a long time and working with them. They are going through and giving that exact transparency to everything. And one of the things that they've done as well is show that the take-back programs don't work at the fast fashion retailers. And it was done in such an easy way with an RFC chip that went into the clothing, they put it in the bin, and they found it, they just traced it, just followed it. Like, okay, here it is. And we can prove that this is exactly what you did with it every step of the way. And it wound up in the exact same landfill as all of the other garbage.
Wow.
When you said you were taking it and recycling it for us, that you were putting it back into the supply chain. And that kind of greenwashing is always the problem because you as a consumer, you feel good about it, right? You see something and it says it's a green thing. We're recycling. If you'll just give it back to us, we'll recycle. We'll give you a 10% discount, whatever it is. And we feel really good about it. We're like, great, I'm helping. And then you realize you're getting betrayed. And those like circular ID, with what they're doing, is making that impossible. And it is all on chain, verifiable. And it goes on an RFC chip that is in your clothing that you can click. The major designers, Giorgio Armani, Kering, Louis Vuitton, LVMH, they are all using it in a way that I'm a little bit irritated by because it could be used in such a beautiful way to eliminate all of this greenwashing and to show that their products are valuable and they're worth what they're worth. And what they're actually doing is making sure that it can't be counterfeit, so that it's worth what it's worth because of the brand name that's on it.
Right.
You're like, you're missing it, guys. You're missing the point. Let's use this power that we have in Web3 and the blockchain technology to its full effect.
Yes, that's great. So is there, besides your projects, is there a Web3 sustainability fashion project you're excited about?
For me, I like the metaverse. I like the metaverse projects. I like the NFTs. I like the digital fashion. It's one of the keys, I think, for the next generation coming up to be able to, they love changing their clothes as much as on their skins as much as they do on their bodies. That's more important to them in many cases, and it's been statistically proven that they care more about the skins on their avatars than they do about the clothes that they wear. They would rather spend their money on that. I think that's great. Let's give them the fashion sense of this. Let's stop wasting everything on Shine and Zara and all of those people that I shouldn't be naming.
But it's funny, that's a two-edged sword because it's a NFT marketplace, totally separate from the clothing retailer, both with the same name.
Oh yeah, that's so true.
That is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's true though. Yeah, all really, really good points. I just wanted this isn't really a good answer to your question, but it does go back to something you were saying about fashion brands not wanting to reveal their secrets, right? And their trade secrets are, okay, if you're a chef, it would be your recipe. For a fashion designer, it's where you got maybe your embroidery or your fabric or where they dyed it or whoever it might, that whole chain. ZK Proofs could offer an opportunity for them to prove that it was sustainable, but not actually reveal who it was, so that they don't have the counterfeit or whoever it is just going to get the same
Bravo.
materials.
Beautiful.
So
This-
that's it. We have the tools.
We have
We
the
have the
tools
tools.
recently. Like they're now
Recently, yeah.
finally coming to fruition where that is accessible to
Yeah.
everybody. Like ZK proofs are able to find everybody. Good Lord, we're at ETH Denver. I have ZK proof QR codes
That's crazy.
to enter events,
Yeah.
which is just the
Next
coolest
level.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're on the bleeding edge of that technology. How long is it going to take us to let it trickle down into the fashion industry? I don't know, but it can't be fast enough, can it?
No, but Luxo, that's actually a conversation I had very recently. They're building a whole blockchain, or they've built a blockchain that is leaning into making it very easy for mass market end users to interact with their tools,
Oh, wow.
and they're leaning into fashion heavily.
That's great.
So I don't think that they have a sustainability tooling out this moment, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone does build it and uses Luxo as a way to
Yeah.
bring it into the market.
Do you have a favorite project?
I don't have necessarily a favorite project per se, but I do think that going back to his point about swapping, I think that like the NFC chips, and as well as like the digital fashion aspect of things, like having access to like a piece that you might love in the blockchain, that gives you like access to it forever. If you want to trade that, that's fine. But even if you were to swap the piece with a friend, you can at least have a copy of it on the blockchain if you still want to have it. And I think that is like a valuable aspect of things because it like eliminates waste. One of the biggest things that I encourage people is like keep your stuff or swap it. Like I think keeping your things is so important. And I think the blockchain really does a good like it's a good way of doing that. So
Yeah.
that's really what I have to say.
So you talked about some of the things we're seeing at ETH Denver. What are you seeing? And we'll go this way again. What are you seeing, Glassy, that has excited you here at ETH Denver?
I feel like home. I feel like at home here, like being around this many people that are like eagerly building. I'm very interested in things like restaking. I'm very interested in very complex economic tools that people can have access to with as easy as a card swipe. So yeah, those are some of the
By
at
the
least
way,
text
yeah.
technology that I'm
one of my
leaning
favorite
into,
things
yeah.
has been meeting people in real life that I've only seen on Twitter. It's been amazing.
So I am biased. The Avogacci booth is of course my favorite because my jackets are there. But besides that, I'm excited to see like what a lot of the projects are doing as far as like interactive like exhibits and stuff. I'm really whenever I see an exhibit that's like more interactive or just like visually appealing, that's what draws me into it. And I think that like for example, one of my friends who doesn't know much about Web3 has been attending some events with me, and she's expressed interest in coming to East Denver. And so like she's expressed interest in like wanting to join like SporkDAO. And so like I think that aspect of things, the Buffycorn even, that was fascinating to her and her baby. Like those things like really bring the general public in, and I'm passionate about onboarding, so of course that really helps. Like the friendly atmosphere is just amazing.
Yeah, I love the community part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you? Anything? What else are you seeing here?
Oh man, here at ETH Denver and Edge City and the Build Week before, and I mean Edge City, guys, these pop-up cities, they're for real. Like having that place where everybody can go, and you mentioned Glassy about being comfortable, feeling like you're around your people.
Yeah.
Like that atmosphere is just priceless. To be able to find those pop-up cities that are your places, that are your thing. It's great coming here to the main event, being a part of all of this, seeing all of the stuff, and then you go back to your home base where your buddies are. That has been a fascinating thing to me, watching these pop-up cities grow out of Zuzulu, out of all of the, I guess, events that have been thrown around the world now coming together and being able to have those pop-up cities for people to really connect on a deeper level than that quick, maybe tap your badge or tap your, tap your RFC card or whatever it is.
Yeah. So Edge City is a pop-up. Can you tell us a little bit about Edge City?
I would love to tell you. I mean, let's grow, baby.
Let's
So
grow.
Edge City has been put on by Gary Shang, and it is a pop-up city that is exactly built around the idea of giving people that perfect space to meet, congregate, communicate, and relax. Bringing in some of the biggest founders, some of the biggest people, and putting them all together in one room because they all want to meet each other, and then allowing us, everybody, to be able to come in and have access, talk with, speak with them. They feel comfortable. Everybody wants to meet everybody, and it just puts it on a much more personal level than maybe seeing these same people speak on the stage where they're giving a lot of that same information, but you can actually shake their hands and see the person. You get to know who people are because all of this, again, is built by people. We're all just people doing this and making something happen. So that to me is one of the things that I've been fascinated by so far at ETH Denver is having that personal relationship, that personal touch, and those pop-up cities that bring it about. Edge City's been on Gitcoin. They were in the Zuzulu round. They did really well there, and for good reason.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I think we're doing another.
We're going to rotate out.
Rotate.
Let's grow. We're rotating. I'm so sorry. Jimmy would get me on the grow police for that one. I would have gotten put down. There would have been a loud buzzer going on.
I have to step out. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll sub someone else in.
Okay.
Live
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Column. Thank you, Glassy, for holding it down. Do greatly appreciate it. Fashion chat was good, yeah?
Amazing.
Okay. Glassy, Column, you have to cut out.
Yes, I have the live feed.
Nice. So we're going to bring in Ignacio and Sammy on, and we're going to turn this environmental, climate solution-based conversation. And then we've just been, I had to go do a little, programming, play the producer role for a minute. So after this conversation we're going to have on climate solutions, environmentalism, how people can get involved more with their participation, because I feel like as human beings, we say a lot of things, but it doesn't really matter until we take action on it, right? So that's really where we're going to take this conversation next, is with that focus and that emphasis. And I know a lot of you have skin in the game in that arena. Additionally, once we do that, we're going to go into kind of what Glassy alluded to a little bit, user experience, product design, and how can we create, I would say, more engaging opportunities for the people who are not regen native, for the people who are not Web3 native, for the people who maybe that's not top of mind. So I would like to welcome our good friends. First off, Ignacio from Endangered Token. Yes?
Endangered tokens, that's it?
Yeah. Come up to the mic a little bit more.
Right. Okay.
There you go. Endangered Tokens. You're Chilean.
I am Chilean.
Nice.
Yeah. Long flight from Chile.
What is your perspective on the Chilean sea bass?
Well, it's really tasty, actually.
Good.
Yeah, I like it fried, deep fried.
Cool. Nice. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. And then we have Sammy here to my left now. So I was in Ignacio's seat. Now I'm over here where Monica was. So Sammy, go ahead and just say like where you're from, what your primary focus is in the Regen Network.
Great. Yeah, I also just want to start off by thanking you guys for the opportunity on being here. My name is Sammy, and I'm also a founder of an NFT project that's focused on renewable energy and solar and blockchain, kind of combining both of those aspects. A little bit of my background is I'm an environmental engineer. I also minored in environmental design, so I do like to incorporate a lot of environmental design practices through my work as an engineer. I've had experiences working as a beekeeper. I've worked in vertical hydroponic farming. I also worked on several different beyond organic regenerative farms throughout the state of Colorado. And now I currently work as a solar farm developer. We develop solar farms as well as hydroelectric power plants. We're getting into wind farms as well. So that's a little bit about my background. Been loving every minute of it, and very happy to be here.
Amazing, amazing. Jerry,
Yes, sir.
you're a strong enough personality. You're a strong enough speaker. You're going to moderate this conversation, please, if you don't mind.
With these guys?
Yes, because
Okay.
guess who just showed up here at East Denver? You're not going
Who's
to
that?
believe who just showed up.
What we got?
Mr. Monthly Earth Day is here at ETH Denver, and he needs to be a part of this conversation.
Is there a crypto whale in the house?
There is an NFT crypto whale in the house.
Let's
And-
grow.
way.
Let's
Get it.
grow. And so he's going to be a part of this. I'm going to tap out. I'm going to go finish the conversation I had. I'm going to work on some more production and programming so that we can keep this audience engaged. Hopefully, you guys out there in the X space are having a great time. Hopefully, you guys like this new feature. I'm sure you're going to love it when Jimmy comes on here and shows his face live in prime time on video. So I'm going to bring in our good friend, Mr. Nick, with Crypto Whales NFT, Mr. Monthly Earth Day, into this environmental conversation, and you guys have fun and jam. So
Let's do it.
Jerry, the show is
Yes,
yours.
sir. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Will T. We do appreciate everything that Kingfishers Media does on the behind the scenes to organize and develop and help everybody grow this refi regen movement. And that is something that Nick from Crypto Whales is doing so beautifully with our monthly Earth Day initiative that he started. How long ago was that now, Nick? When did you get that going?
It's September 2022. So it's been about 17 months now, going strong. Started off with just a couple people at the beginning, me and one other person cleaning up trash, but it's blossomed into this last month of February. We had over 112 projects, people, businesses up on the poster, I guess. Participation is getting bigger and bigger, so it's just been really awesome to um, honestly just see what all these amazing people are doing in the world, because it's, you know, it's different from when you see it locally, but on a bigger picture collectively, it's, we're doing some incredible things, and I love it. So it's been a great time so far. Can't wait to see where it goes this next year.
See where it grows, you mean?
Yeah, see where it grows.
Okay. I've got a question for you, Ignacio, if you don't mind.
Let's grow.
So give me the lowdown on exactly how you are on the ground achieving refi regen models and processes.
So we are heading towards landowners. Well, landowners have also come to us that they have land for conservation, but they don't have like incentives to protect it. So like housing industry is really big and it's getting like bigger. So all the incentives are towards like just splitting the land and cutting down the trees, building like condos or whatever. But there are some conscious people looking to search for ways to actually conserve the precious treasures of biodiversity that they have. In Chile, we have a really big patrimony in that regard. We have a lot of endemic species that only exist there. So, for example, the first landowner that we started working with, he holds around 30 hectares of a really, really scarce like type of endangered forest with keoles in it. Okay, keoles is a type of tree, scientific name, Gomortega keule. That's it's been estimated. It's not exactly known yet. That's one of the things we want to actually do, the cadastre, right? The more precise cadastre, but it's estimated to have around 4,000 trees alive in the world. So how scarce is
Wow.
that? You know, so
Wow.
how much, you know, like how can we actually incentivize its protection and its reproduction?
Yeah.
Right?
Can I interrupt you for just 1 second?
Go,
Um,
bro.
how many Bitcoin are there?
There are 20 million. Well, there will be only 20 million Bitcoin total when it ends minting.
Right. And there were 4,000 of these trees?
Only 4,000 adult specimens estimated of this type of tree. And I will say, you know, I always say that endangered trees are scarcer than Bitcoin. And you can do the math. There are around, if you go to the UN red list of endangered species, there are around 1,000 critically endangered species of plants and trees. And as they are endangered, they have not more than around 10,000 specimens alive in the world. So that's just 10 million endangered plant species in the world. So they're totally scarcer than Bitcoin, right?
You want to talk about scarcity and value in something, right?
Well, it's somehow what humans have been finding to store its value in scarce things, you know? So
But not really, apparently, right? We're obviously not storing our value in scarce things. What are these trees valued at right now? When you're conserving the land that has these 4,000 trees on it that has this, how much does that cost?
sorry, can you repeat
When
that
you're
question?
conserving the land
Yeah.
that is protecting those trees,
Yeah.
how much does it cost to conserve that land?
Well, it is expensive. You need to like protect you from poachers. You need to protect from people trying to cut down trees illegally. You need to well, but at the end of the day, the most expensive cost is the opportunity cost of not farming the land, for example, or not
Yeah.
cutting down trees. So that opportunity cost is the competition that we need to kind of like incentivize with a better kind of value, so we can compete against the like forest industry, for example, right?
Right.
So I don't know exact number to tell you like what's the cost of maintaining. It's different in each place. It depends on location, how remote it is, or the type of species, the type of conservation that you need to do with that species. Um, so we're doing our best to just keep registering these trees to generate awareness and then give value to them through the blockchain.
Right. So we're discovering that price. We're in the process of price discovery of exactly what that is,
Right.
of the values of what is really valuable.
Yeah, and the underlying value there is the ecosystemic service that these trees provide to our
Right.
like the human beings, the species that live underneath them. So it's when you protect an georeference and then your tree, you're not just protecting the tree, you're just protecting all the ecosystem that is underlying that, the frogs, the insects, the little plants, the fungi, all that type
The
of stuff.
complete
So
spectrum of the biodiversity
exactly.
that's there.
So
Yeah.
that's why we say we are doing biodiversity assets for the future.
So I got a question for you. Is it one of the biggest part with these landowners? Is it that the homeowners, home builders, they're coming in and giving more money, and that's why they're like giving up the land, or is it that's why you're trying to find the value to help incentivize them to keep and conserve the land?
That's one of the one. That's There are two kind of like threats that I see really clearly regarding the opportunity cost of that land. One is home kind of like or selling the land for just building homes, and the other one is just forest industry. There's a big forest industry in Chile. Pine and eucalyptus is being planted everywhere, and that disrupts the ecosystem, disrupts the hydric cycles, whatever. For example, we are going to Patagonia in April to this landowner that he has a lot of really beautiful, big, old-grown forests, and for him, the opportunity cost is the homing business that I was telling you about. But the landowner we're working with the Keules, it's more like the forest industry.
Gotcha. So they're all willing to give the landowner money then, right? Are they paying to take that land away from them?
For example, the big housing companies can purchase the land for a really good price in order to sell it, divide it.
Yeah.
Or forest industry, the same. They're willing to pay a good amount of price to have more land to plant, pine trees or eucalyptus trees.
Gotcha.
That's like the competition that we need to achieve. Like to actually prove that this ecosystemic service is actually more valuable to be kept alive than it is to be cut down on farming or whatever.
It's obvious. Like it should definitely be kept alive. Like obvious to us.
Well, yeah.
Obviously.
Well, we'll make it obvious with incentives. That's the mission.
Love it. That's awesome.
Incentivizing people, right? Like you have to have some sort of incentive to get people to start doing it. And education helps. Understanding what it is, maybe that lowers the degree of incentive that's necessary, but there's still going to have to be some incentive involved, right?
Yeah, that's like the tokenomics we're working on, right? Like that's why we are in crypto. That's why we're in Denver. We believe that crypto holds this like democratic way of creating new types of exchange of value, so we can create new type of incentives around the things that are not being like kind of like acknowledged by traditional finance. So yeah, let's grow.
So, Sammy, we've been talking about conservation of the forests and everything so far, and how to conserve all of our biodiversity. Does the solar heads have anything to do with that? How do you think that that plays into conserving biodiversity?
Yeah, definitely. The solar heads actually encompass a lot of environmental restoration practices and also biodiversity preservation and enhancement. The solar farms that we are going to build in the future or are actively building are all going to be agrivoltaic solar farms. Agrivoltaics is basically the concept of pairing agriculture with renewable energy systems, and not only agriculture, but you can also perform some ecosystem restoration underneath the panels through the plantings of native grasses and wildflowers as well. So that's what we're really focused on at SFA. Not just a typical solar farm where trees are torn down, acres of land are just destroyed just for the kind of greenwashing effect of environmentalism. We really want to be at the forefront of the agrivoltaics industry and show people that you can be a profitable entity while also conserving and enhancing the quality of the natural environment. Um, so what we have planned to do again underneath our solar farms are not only we intend to grow hemp underneath the panels to also add some nutrients back into the soil, but we do also want to integrate some native grasses and wildflowers underneath the panels and bring in some local cattle and sheep as well from local farms so that they can also act basically as natural lawnmowers. They'll cut the grass back for us and also fertilize the land underneath the panels for further carbon sequestration. So that's really what we're focused on. Again, very untraditional in the solar industry as a whole, but we do want to be pioneers in not just Web3, but Web2 as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the agrivoltaics, I think, is obviously a huge solution because, like you said, in a lot of cases, just taking something and putting solar on it doesn't help. If you're taking and you're having to chop down trees in order to
Exactly.
do it, if you're taking land that was already a carbon sink to put solar on it and churning up all the carbon, you're not helping. But the way
Exactly.
you're planning on doing it with the agrivoltaics portion of it is sinking more carbon at every layer while
Exactly.
producing clean energy.
100%. And not only that, agrivoltaics, when you plant those crops underneath the panels, not only can you enhance and restore soils and biodiversity, but the plants actually have a symbiotic relationship with the panels above them as well. So basically, the panels basically act as like a shading, give some shading to the plants underneath them, which helps them be less stressed. Depending on what you're growing, if you're growing some shade tolerant crops, they tend to do very well underneath solar panels. So not only do the panels help the plants, but the plants also help the panels because now that you have nice green lush plants underneath the panels that are releasing water through their leaves, that also cools down the temperature of the panels, which makes them more efficient. So that's basically where the symbiosis comes in. The panels help the plants, and the plants help the panels.
Absolutely. Circular, everything has to come together and work together. Look how much
Exactly.
further we
Yeah.
go together, right? We grow together.
100%.
Let's
And
grow.
that's really what refi embodies as well. All the projects in the space at the moment, the industry, from my eyes, it's very small. But since it's small, it's easy to meet people, and I'm really here to collaborate and network with all these great minds so that we can make refi bigger than what it is, and make it an unstoppable force, as Jerry and I was speaking about earlier. So
Let's
That brings us
grow.
that yeah, let's grow. So that brings us right back to Nick there, Crypto Whales Monthly Earth Day. So we've talked about sequestration of carbon. We've talked about amazing biodiversity that we're trying to save, conserve, and do everything else. And now we've got Monthly Earth Day. How does this fit into the blockchain narrative exactly? Because we're just doing good stuff, right? I mean, I participate in Monthly Earth Day every single day.
Yep.
So,
So, so I mean, this whole thing got created because it. What I want to do is showcase all of these people that are joining this monthly Earth Day, not just for the environment or cleaning up trash, which is what we focus on. I want to shed light on literally everybody that's doing incredible things because, like Sammy said, we are a very small industry right now, and if we can collectively combine together, I want to showcase what Solar Farm Access is doing, what Endangered Token is doing, what Jerry NFTs are doing. It's not just about me and my monthly Earth Day. My monthly Earth Day is about us, and it's about shedding a light on what absolutely everybody's doing in this Web3 because Web3 right now, it's just in NFTs and Web3 social mainstream media. It does not shed a good light on it. I'm here to do the opposite of that because when you talk about it, I don't know the percentage anymore, but I know there's not a very large percentage of the population in the world that knows about Web3 or cryptocurrency or anything like that. And so when they do hear about it, it's got a negative, tone behind it. I'm here to show people all of these amazing innovations that people are doing, saving endangered trees through tokenization and incentivizing the farmers instead of saying, hey, let this housing industry come and give you a bunch of money. They see a lot of money. A lot of people, we see it here locally. The farmers sell it to the grocery store, that chain that wants to build, that wants to build on their land. They sell it because it's worth millions of dollars. Ways to tokenize that and incentivize a farmer and say, hey, don't do that, but instead let's incentivize you this way to keep the land and preserve it. That's just genius. A lot of people don't know that that's going on. This, like the greenwashing as far as like the solar farms. A lot of those you see even in Colorado, there's nothing around it. It is just wiped out completely, and it's just panel after panels.
And they've in often cases even done something. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is something that sticks in my craw, as the old Texas saying. But in a lot of cases, they've killed the ground underneath.
Yeah.
They've chemically killed the ground underneath, so it can't grow anything underneath the panels. Which, as Sammy just told us, that's counterproductive anyway. You actually want green things growing underneath it. It helps the solar panels. So, yeah, it's very frustrating.
So,
Anyway.
that's where people in real life, local governments that I've spoken to, I tell them about these projects that are going on. Pet gas down in Mexico through Sandra, that are taking plastic and turning it into positive energy. Green Zone that has vending machines. They pay you to recycle instead of you pay to get a recycling bin. I tell these governments that that's what we're doing. They're mind blown. They have no idea that this kind of stuff is going on. And I have met through this monthly Earth Day over 100 different projects, businesses that are doing some amazing innovations. And yes, at the same time, this monthly Earth Day is to just have a positive impact, just in general, positive impact. That's all I'm looking for.
That is beautiful. Also, as you said, though, like having those conversations with governments and with other people to be exposing them that crypto is not all bad. That there are only in your monthly Earth Day right now 120 projects that are all working for refi, for regen and sustainability, and participating in doing something good at least once a month.
Working towards a better world.
Better world.
Yeah.
That
there's
is
more,
the industry.
There's more people
this is
out
the
there.
industry. Yeah, it's not just the degens. It's not just the bad people out there. It's not just the scammers. It's not all of rug pull. All of us, I think, on this panel now have been around for several years working in this. Through the bear market, through the miserableness, through everything else. And why is it that we're still here is because we have a good why. We have a good reason. So tell me what yours is for this.
The why?
Your why, yeah.
My why is I just want this place to be better than we found it. Every day, my slogan for Monthly Earth Day is working today for a better tomorrow. And that's what I feel like every single person on this poster is doing. They're building, like you said, through this bear market, through the last 2 years, which have been like the most difficult time through this crypto. They're still pushing on. They're still here. I've seen these same people year after year, and I feel like it's just going to get better and better. But my why is to literally just
growing?
We are growing month after month. We are growing, and yeah, that's my why. I just literally want this place to be better, and I'm going to do the most that I can to showcase and collaborate with all of these individuals to make it a better place.
Lovely. Same thing to you, Sammy.
My why is very similar. It's also to leave this planet, better than we left off, and also to serve as like an industry leader to show people, the true potential of what renewable energy is capable of. We're not just generating, emission-free energy, but we're also enhancing the land underneath the panels and, creating huge different positive environmental impact through the initiative of SFA. But yeah, thank you for the question. Appreciate it.
I know you've told
Let's
us
grow.
before, but let's do it.
Get it.
Tell me your why.
So, since Industrial Revolution, we as humans have created these incentives towards working towards common goals, right? Like, and industrial revolution was all about producing more goods, getting more resources, and it was kind of like logical in that time. But during the current time, we've kept a lot of incentives that now are self-destroying us. So my why is to rethink the game that we're playing for ourselves as a species within this planet from a more lovable perspective of what we have, what we are, what we can do, what we want to conserve, what we want to change, and what we want to work together towards. So I think incentives is the word that I always repeat in the spaces.
Right.
We are like dopamine beings. We work with incentives. Like if they give us dopamine, we'll go for it. So we need to outwork ourselves, like kind of like let's do the incentives that we want towards the things that are worth working for.
It's literally going back to the basics.
Yeah.
Going back to the basics, I feel like as a species are so far away from where we've come from, to where it's very easily to get distracted on why we're here, and that's why, yeah, it's literally going back to the basics to become one with nature, preserve what we need to preserve, because if we don't, it's just not going to be here anymore.
Absolutely. I mean, I want to go into the incentive idea there from a natural perspective. Right? How do you train any other animal inside the animal kingdom? How do we train them? With incentives. You know how those work is it works on the same process as we're all part of nature. We're not against nature. The fact that we work on incentives doesn't mean that we're bad people or we're not part of the ecosystem and the ecology of the world. It actually shows that we are.
Exactly.
Those incentives are part of nature. That's how we learn to do things. That's what Darwin taught us: the survival of the fittest. If you keep getting rewarded with good things and you are advancing your species, you're going to keep living. You're going to keep doing those things that help you live and help further you. That's what you're trying to do here with incentivizing people: is get that dopamine hit, allow them to enjoy that thing in whatever way that they need to in order to preserve and do the right thing, do the good thing to preserve life on this planet at this point. We've done it in a bad way for so long, and now flipping it on its head. I do have another question that I'd like to do a little roundtable with all of you guys on, because we are at the ETH Denver conference right now. What are the most exciting things that you have seen going on in the innovations that we can leverage in refi and we can leverage in generation practices? Is there anything that has come out to you, or is it just a in general overall innovation that's coming through the open source that you're excited about? Start with you, Ignacio.
Okay, that's a really good question. I think there's so many things going on that sometimes it's hard to kind of like understand everything. Uh, there's a lot of mixing AI with crypto. That's like the hot thing right now, and I think it's gonna be a really like revolution even in refi as well. Uh, Integrating AI, crypto, and all like also like zero knowledge proofs, to make more efficient transactions, all that kind of stuff. Like at the end of the day, all can be applied to regenerative finance, to the creation of new incentives, as I'd say before. And like, for example, AI can be a really good tool for further verification on-site things. For example, satellite imaging with AI. That's something that can be used, for example, verifying an endangered tree remotely, for example.
Wow. That would be fantastic, right?
What about Sami?
Yeah, so, honestly, I haven't explored too much of the conference yet. I've mainly just been networking, but a huge difference between this year at ETH Denver versus last year is who I'm currently around. I'm actually meeting regens in real life, and we've connected for the first time in person. And I think that that is very powerful. It shows that, we're still very committed to what we're doing. It shows that now we're actually forming, real life bonds. We know what each other, what we look like, what we sound like. We could ask each other questions, pick each other's brains. And I think that that's very powerful, because we are building this together. So now that, we've strengthened our relationship and bonds, it only allows us to grow even more and faster. So
Let's grow.
let's freaking grow, guys.
Let's grow.
Let's get it.
But I think we're still super early, and that's what is very encouraging, is that the innovations that we have already seen is is mind blowing to me, because we are, like you said, utilizing technology in a good way to better the world, and we're still early. So Web3 moves so fast to where I am optimistic, but it is going to take a collaborative effort. Why would we fight against each other to make this world a better place? We need to work together to make this world a better place.
Out collaborate the competition, my friend.
Yes, exactly.
And that's one more thing I wanted to add on that point is like the whole refi community in general. You know, what I've realized is it's really not competitive. We're all in for the same common good of the space, you know, same common good of the world. And the way that we view it is that there's no competition, it's just collaboration. And I really think that if we want to see some serious change, that it's an unstoppable force, the best way to do so is to band together and create something that is bigger than, you know, something that can be stopped easily. So very cool stuff.
It's just like Mother Nature. Like when you go into nature, you can see that species are collaborating to each other. Even like predators and like rabbits, whatever, you know, like even they predate themselves. There is a circle of collaboration among, you know, to keep it sustainable, to have all the wheel of biodiversity going round and round. So it's just mimicking that kind of interaction, symbiotic interaction, you know, syntropic, all that stuff within this new kind of economic system that we're trying to pursue.
Nature's been doing this for a long time. Why not go back to the basics and learn from them?
Exactly.
100%.
You know, a lot of what you guys are saying here, I really resonate with this because, especially the collaboration over competition. When I founded Kingfisher's Media, we needed to look for a business model that would be more Web3 centric than Web2 centric, right? And the particular business model we picked is exactly that. It embraces a culture and an environment and an ecosystem of collaboration over competition. Additionally, when you're talking about Nick, right, you're talking about Mother Nature's been doing this for so long. Well, you know what? Let's go back 5,000 years. Us as a species, as human beings, we were doing it 5,000 years ago. And it actually more recent than that, because it wasn't really until the Industrial Revolution came about where we started being extractive from this planet and not regenerative to this planet. And I would say that in the last 100 years, we've done more damage to this planet than we did the previous 9,900 years, however long humans have been a species on this planet, right?
Yeah.
So in 100 years, we've done more damage to this planet, and it's at close, right? We all know this. It's very close to this tipping point to where it's irreversible, right? And so that's why I feel this movement, the regen movement, the regenerative practices, policies, what is not only, I would say, ethically a standard of replenishing Mother Earth, but also what is morally responsible for us as human beings to be participants in that process. And it's like reached this point of like almost critical mass where we need to get the word out as fast as we can. We need to get boots on the ground, which we're already seeing that in the regen culture in Web3 right now of all the people we're connected to, right? But we need to become more expansive with our circles. We need to be more expansive with our influence. We need to take these conversations into our everyday conversations to inspire people to get behind what we're doing.
That's one of the reasons why I'm trying to go after the government, like literally just trying to get them involved and show them, hey, we are trying to make this world a better place. It's a win-win for literally everybody, and that there's no reason to not collaborate, like literally no reason.
And one thing I also want to include is that as far as like you know the whole refi space in general, and even just environmentalism as a whole, I've noticed that, and I'm sure many have noticed as well, that there's just a lot of noise in the industry. You know, it's like they really try to over politicize it, and it's really not a matter of red or blue or what your political identity is. I you know, when I was asked what my why is, one thing that I wanted to bring to or say at that time is that um, it's a matter of everybody deserves access to cleaner water, cleaner air, and cleaner soil, cleaner food. You know, it's a public health issue. If you want yourself, if you want your family, your friends, the people around you to genuinely be happy and healthy, then you have to be able to provide them healthy water, healthy food, the human and animal essentials. So that's what it's really about. It's not over politics. It's really just enhancing public health and the environmental purity of our world. So
Go ahead, Ignacio. What do you want to add to that?
Sammy hit the point. Like you got it, like completely figure it out in that regard.
thank you.
It's been really great. I hadn't meet Nick or Sammy before. I have seen them on Twitter in the past a little bit. Not even Sammy. I haven't seen solar.
So solar farm access or the
Solar
solar
from
heads.
Access,
Either one.
SFA. And connecting with you guys, it's an honor. It's an honor to be here. I just want to just take this opportunity to thank Will, thank Lex Grow DAO, thank you guys for being here, and hopefully we'll keep building further connections. And as you say, like I love to show other refi projects. Like for example, I want to show one of my dear friends, Daniel, with Oxygen Chain. I'm a hydraulic engineer myself. So this guy works with water. He cleans water, So he incentivized the correct cleaning of water for like big industries. So he has this technology where he can clean anything from, like oil industry, food industry, in which they need a lot of water to production. So now instead of like the incentives now is like it's really easy to just pay someone to sign that you are okay. That's even cheaper than actually doing the right thing. So with crypto, you can now incentivize to do the right thing and make it more economical, viable to actually comply with what should be done, right? So that's Oxygen Chain. And the other project that I always want to show too, it's Sylvie. I met Jimo yesterday here at Denver. I really like what he's doing, a lot of reforestation, verification. We definitely want to like integrate what he's doing within our platform as well. We're more in the conservation part, but when we want to reforestate, we want to integrate that as well. That's collaboration. Let's find collaboration places among projects and let's grow together, man. Like let's grow together. That's all about. That's why I actually really like Let's Grow DAO, like kind of like motto or like this initiative. It's great. So let's keep shilling each other. Let's keep sharing what we know, what we are learning, and let's keep growing.
I
And
love it.
also, oh yeah, I just wanted to add that a lot of these projects are very grassroots. We're really starting something from
Oh
nothing.
yeah.
So as much as we can get the word out, even just community members, what I've realized within our NFT community is how important community is. Without community, we have no outreach. We have no actual formation of a company. I mean, sure, we could get all the legal stuff down, like an LLC and whatnot, but to actually grow the company, you need a solid community. So any community members out there that are part of any of our ecosystems, just want to shout you guys out and really thank you for supporting us through this grassroots movement. So thank you, and let's keep on growing.
Let's keep on growing. Let's keep on growing. So one thing too, because we're going to shift programming here in a little bit, and for all of you out there listening, we may take down the space and just keep the conversation right here at the conference. But don't worry, this is all being recorded. We're all going to get copies. You're going to see snippets and stuff coming out of this effort here today. So first off, Sammy, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Let's do it.
Have you signed the manifesto for Let's Grow DAO?
I have not, but I would love to.
What are you waiting for? I'm
To
just
learn more
kidding.
about it. I don't think I've heard enough about it. What
Okay,
is it?
well, we'll talk offline about how you
Okay.
can get involved with Let's Grow DAO.
Great.
Sign the manifesto. It's essentially just like this is our core values, right? And do you agree with those core values or do you don't? The other cool thing about it is once you sign it, you're going to mint an NFT that
Love it.
you don't have to pay gas on because that's taken care of by Unlocked Protocol, right? Now you're a community member. Then you're going to fill out a form as far as your area of interest, and we're going to kind of partner you with the grow officers that are already there from the 9 core founders, right? And get you into a work stream. And then, if you want to take that a step further and go deeper down the funnel, you can become a DAO voting governance member, vote on proposals, things like that are really going to shape the way that the DAO operates in the future. How does that sound to you, Sammy?
It sounds amazing. I'm all about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that we've covered how do you join Let's Grow DAO, let's shift it to two of our, I would say, newest, possibly, community members of Let's Grow DAO. Ignacio, first, I want to hear from your
Sure.
heart. I want to hear from your heart. What does it mean to you to be part of Let's Grow DAO?
It means to be part of a community of likewise minded people that actually want to make this world a better place, that actually want to collaborate towards better incentives for the coordination of actions that we want to do in the world. And it means to feel part of something bigger than our own projects. It feels that it's what we were needed to grow our communities together, like Sami said. It's and as we are like really kind of like underfunded projects yet, this brings a lot of moral kind of like motivation to keep going, to keep hustling, because it's an industry really new, as Nikki said. People just finding out about crypto. Most of crypto people not even know about regen movement yet, refi movement yet. You're like, refi. They're like, what? Like DeFi? They don't know. So
You bring up a good point there because I feel like right now with refi and regen, right? That's the same way that people from the outside looking in looked at decentralized finance back in 2020.
yeah,
Like, what's this brand new thing? What's it going to do? How does it benefit me? How's it going to benefit other people? Right. So I feel like we're like that on the refi regen movement.
The coolest thing is with the refi movement is you don't really have to have money to participate because or see or reap the benefits because improving the environment helps everybody. So it's not just a few people that benefit. If we're able to clean bodies of water or improve the quality of air, everybody within that region gets the benefits. So it's indirect in
Okay.
large scale.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, Nick, I'm going to flip it to you. Crypto Whales NFT, right?
Yep.
That's you on X.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, same question to you. What does it mean to you as a person speaking from your heart to be part of Let's Grow DAO?
Ignacio put it perfectly. It's literally, I spoke about it earlier as far as it's going to take a collaborative effort to, like everybody band together. All these people part of the Let's Grow DAO are part of a bigger thing. We all want to see the world a better place. We're all trying to make it a better place within our individual projects, our individual businesses. But banding together under one umbrella is just going to help, further our cause, further our impact, and it like you said, it's needed. It's a needed thing because it's a way that we can all also communicate with each other about what we're trying to do. A lot of these people that are part of the Let's Grow DAO are very well known in this space that we have all created, this regen movement, this tree gen, regenerative finance, whatever you want to call it. I call it just positive impact people, because there's so many different branches to this umbrella, to this tree, but together we're just going to make it a better place. It's just easy.
yeah. Like back in the days when we started endangered tokens, I used to go into Twitter Spaces, and I would say this like, let me try to remember. So if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. Is this African proverb, I think, and it totally resonates with the refi movement for me.
Yeah.
Like we need to go far together, and maybe we need to go fast by going on our own projects, but we won't get far if we are not together.
The reason why we need to go fast is because the world's getting worse and worse as we speak, but that's where we get together, and it's going to be just impactful. It's going to be very impactful. Everything that we do is going to have a meaning, a purpose, and hopefully just a result from everybody doing something. There's obviously like there's bigger companies, there's bigger money out there, but you don't see them doing the kind of stuff that we're doing. That's why I think it's going to take this collaborative effort. That's why this Let's Grow DAO is a perfect example, because all these little people banding together are gonna just I feel like it's a snowball effect.
Right.
One other thing that I wanted to mention before we cycle through the next round of speakers is, for those listening out there that are curious as to how to get involved with the refi community or how to, even just dip your toes into the industry, you can do it from several different layers. If you want to be a founder, just plant the seed of a project. Think about what ideally your project or whatever you're trying to do. Think about the end goal of where you want it to be, and then just take those baby steps consistently until you reach that goal. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm sure all the other speakers up here on the panel are doing. Where we started with a long-term idea, and every day we're working towards that goal. So if you're more of a founder, that's a way to get involved. Another great way is also just a community member. If you don't necessarily have the funds to buy an NFT of a project, or you don't really have, like the capital to get involved, just start showing up. Show up on Twitter Spaces. Just say hi in the Discord. Show your presence, because not only does that make the company grow, but it also keeps the founders motivated on doing what they're doing as well. It shows that people are listening. It shows that that there's people who are showing interest in what you're doing. So there's definitely varying levels of how to get involved, and just reach out to any of us. None of us bite, and we're very open to leading you guys along the way. So
I preach it all the time, literally in all the spaces, everywhere. It all starts with awareness and education, and I think that is huge. Spreading awareness, liking, resharing all of the great things that these projects are doing and these people and these founders are doing. If nobody knows about it, how are they gonna jump on board? How are they gonna share the same passion as us? So awareness and education. Share it with your friends, your family. Tell your grandma. Tell everybody about it. That's how we're gonna grow.
Amazing. So the time has come to switch out the panel of speakers. We're going to shift programming a little bit. So as your one of the hosts, not the only host, obviously, but also show producer, a little technical director I played today, and content programming curation. We're going to shift gears on the conversation to be more, let's say, about UI. That's important, user interface, UX, right? User experience. Safety, how are people safe and secure, not just in Web3, but like when they're out in their everyday natural environment, right? And they're doing these efforts for environmental, let's just say, practices or initiatives, and being supportive of that. How can they stay safe in that? And then also, like, what is good product design, right? So what is good product design? Well, maybe not good or bad. Maybe that's a misusage. What is a product design that people are going to resonate with is probably a better way to describe that. So thank you, everybody out there on X, tuning in and watching on the video. This is an experiment. This is the first time doing this at a live event. So really cool that we're able to provide you this type of programming, kind of drawing you into this experience. So Ignacio, thank you very much for being here today. We kind of rotated really fast on the last transition, so I don't know that we had time to thank all them, but we'll thank them in person as well. Sammy, thank you for being here. Nick, thank you for being here. I know this conversation was something that was near and dear and spoke to your hearts. Now we've got about a little over 25 minutes left, and we're going to kind of pivot the conversation to kind of change the conversation. So thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you, Will. Appreciate it. It was awesome.
All right, amazing. We're making magic here at ETH Denver 2024, and we're going to rotate in our next round of speakers. So we're going to have, sorry, I'm playing a little direction here. We're going to have Ignacio's leaving. We're going to fill his seat, okay? I think we got someone else who just showed up who may want to be part of this conversation too, so I might dip out. So we're going to bring in a really familiar person that you guys all know and love. We met a couple other friends here at ETH Denver that are going to be part of this conversation as well. So they need to know, you put on the headphones, you talk about, I don't know, about an inch or so from the mic, because you're going to hear yourself in the headphones, right?
Sounds good.
A little closer.
Sounds good.
Okay. I can barely hear you, but that's fine. Um, okay, someone's going to take my seat. I'm going to introduce you to this person, though, real quick. And
Hey.
he's going to actually introduce himself and let you know what he does in the refi space.
Yeah, so it's Izzy. You probably know me as Decentralized CEO, Green Pill Network lead, also chapter steward for Green Pill Nigeria. And basically, Green Pill, if you've ever heard of it, is like basically we're turning DJs to regen. Big in the refi space and public goods aspect. And specifically for Green Pill Nigeria, we actually allocate resources to projects that's on ground that have some impactful initiatives that they can use to better the community. And one of the initiatives would be like reusable energy, like partnering with companies like Switch Electric, Metering Protocol, trying to combat the pollution and also like try to do the best we can to make the lifestyles better in the community that we are in. So that's a little bit of a introduction for me. I'll kind of pass that on to left, right, left, maybe. There you go.
Oh, hi there. Uh, my name is Tien. I am based out of Toronto, Canada, and I have been in Web3 since 2015. I like to say I've been around the blockchain, and I'm a product designer by trade. So currently, I'm working with a few different Web3 startups, freelancing. So I'm on the market because of the bear market, but yeah, juggling a bit of contract work with a few different companies, such as the Helium Foundation. And then on the side, I'm also juggling two refi startups that I am a co-founder of. So one of them is called Circonomy. It's it's a venture studio all about working with organizations in the intersection of Web3 and circular economics. And then the other one is called MetaFundwe, which is I think it's kind of like a Canadian. So sorry, I'm new to MetaFundwe, so my pitching for it, I'm still like, I still got to practice the pitch for it. It's not my startup. A friend of mine founded it, and then he convinced me to join it. But basically, if you know what endowment is, MetaFundwe is kind of like Canada's version of endowment. But we're all about also aligning charity goals and accomplishments or whatever with the UN SDGs, and we've created a universal taxation standard for charities using a decentralized method on Filecoin, based on Filecoin, one of Filecoin's innovations. And MetaFundwe also has an NFT art initiative all about raising funds for charities via NFTs, of course. And yeah, that's like the long story short. There's like so much to my story because it's 8+ years worth of story, but I'm just gonna leave it at that for now.
That's
Yeah.
very, very interesting. You already, I'm already a fan as it is. We have two more gentlemen right here that's highly big in the space. I'll let them introduce themselves. Also, on my right here is.
Hello, it's Robert Colvin. I'm here for representing Oxygen Chain. We're basically in the, in the sector for water treatment. At this current phase, we're doing several projects. Some are for shanty towns. One specifically is for Vegigal in Rio de Janeiro, where there's 30,000 inhabitants that we're trying to help, and we're going to do that across the globe. So that's my short version.
Nice. And then lastly, we have with us.
Hi, I'm Mark. Marky Mark 10 on Twitter, spelled with Q's. I helped Sammy, who was here previously with SFA. I helped them develop some of their smart contracts, helped give them guidance on blockchain as I'm more crypto native. I've been in the space since 2020. I used to work at hedge fund, then at DAX, and now I mostly focus on the security aspect. I'm a security researcher doing bug bounties, code arena contests, all of those, and building out tools to help find bugs in code before, the hackers do. So trying to help protect the space and make sure no one's bags get stolen.
Very cool.
Please, I do not want my bag to be stolen. Yeah, I think this space right now in this session is supposed to be about UI UX. I guess I'll just start off with you right now because like I think the most important thing when you're hacking or you're building something, especially in the space that we're in and the time that we're in, security is a vital aspect. So if you can just share with us like how you go about like apart from audit to go just a little bit deeper, like what that means to you, how what that looks like for the
Yeah, so there's a ton of different steps you could take to make sure that your project is secure. And regardless of whether or not you're in refi, DeFi, whatever type of fi, any blockchain, you want to make sure that your product is not at risk. So as you're developing your product, you need to create a comprehensive security model of you need to create what's called invariants. These are things that can't be broken. You know, whether it be you don't want your users' data leaked to the public, you don't want people to be able to steal funds. It could be a multitude of different aspects. But you, as a developer, founder, need to start to build out a comprehensive map in your mind of what you want to be protected, and then you go from there. So I mean, the top level S tier is you have someone work with you as you develop your project to make sure that you're following guidelines. Then, obviously, if you're deploying code to a blockchain, you should get an audit. You should try and put a bug bounty program after. Obviously, this is expensive. It's not available to everyone, but there are tons of security researchers who are not um, as far along in their career who are willing to do it at a discount. So at this day, there's no excuse to not have an audit, even if it's for a couple $100. You can get a decent mid-level security researcher to look over your code, help advise you along the way, and help make sure that your users are not at risk.
Yeah, there's different sites out there that you can use, like Sherlock and some of those others that you can
Yeah,
take
definitely.
advantage of. And obviously, test-driven development, right? I mean, from the very beginning, before you even write your first line of contract, you should probably be using Hard Hat or Forge or some other framework for testing.
100%. You should be writing tests for your code. Make sure some arbitrary user can't just come in and take all your funds, which can all be done with like Hard Hat Foundry.
you mentioned something about sometimes it might be a little bit more expensive, a little bit expensive for new developers to actually audit their code. Since we're in the public good space, there's something else called network goods, and I think that's something that these new L2s need to really consider. Whereas, like it would be good to have like a panel or like a group of individuals as experts in certain areas work closely with the network. So like that way, there's a hub where new projects, new developers can kind of like approach and go to some with issues. And then just to reward some of these experts, they can do something like retro PGF funding or maybe just put them on a base salary because of course they have other means of income. But that's just something to consider. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
I would even interject there that this space is changing very quickly,
Absolutely.
and because of ChatGPT and some of these other advancements, that knowledge base is now being kind of pushed to your fingertips. So to a certain degree, I would say that it's becoming less of an issue as long as you're willing to ask the right questions. But for the most part, yeah, it's more prevalent in those people that already know what questions to ask. And once you've got that, it's engineering prompting, really, because everything's already kind of out there, except for the new chains. But for the chains that have existed for a while, the knowledge base that's there, all of the testing that you've seen happen, it's there.
Yeah,
So
I, I guess like it's garbage in, garbage out. If you don't know the right questions to ask, you're gonna get garbage output,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about UI UX. Maybe actually this question is for each of you. So when developing, which one do you think really comes first, UI UX or the security aspect?
It can be parallel. It really depends on your project and what your focus is. But I would say, the first thing you have to do is what platforms you want to deploy to. So for the most part, I think here in Denver, it's mobile, right? It's mobile first,
Yeah.
not necessarily web first. Go ahead. Oh, you can't hear me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's mobile first, not necessarily web first. And to a certain degree, I would say that if you're going to go web or mobile first, then what platform or what framework you want to use? Like, is it going to be React? Is it going to be Flutter? What are you? What's your pick your poison kind of thing? So
Um, so you stated you work for Healing Foundation, right? Healing Foundation.
Well, okay, yeah. Let me just go a bit more into depth about my experience
Cool.
with refi.
Cool.
I got introduced to the world of refi in the summer of 2019 when I got accepted into the Cello Prosper retreat. It was a refi retreat before the concept of refi existed, and that was when I yeah got introduced to this whole entire world. This was pre Cello mainnet, and then uh, ever since then, I was able to get a couple jobs in the space. One of my biggest main major job experiences was the lead designer at Good Dollar, a pioneer in the crypto UBI movement or
Nice,
space.
nice, nice.
Yeah, and then the but then because of Terra, I got laid off
Ouch.
from Good Dollar. Um, but ever since then, I took on the mantle to found Refi Toronto since January 2023, a local node, a Refi DAO local node in Toronto. Um, and then these days, I'm juggling, yeah, just two different Refi startups that I founded. Or one of them I founded, the other one I joined, as I mentioned earlier. The one I founded is called Economy, focused on the intersection of Web3 and circular economics. Um, yeah, as I wanted to touch upon the question you asked earlier.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, you did. You basically just gave us your background and your experience or expertise in the industry, and that's good. And I wanted to kind of like get some input from you about, since you work with Helium Foundation, you worked with them previously. What do you think the user experience with Helium Foundation? How did that change when they moved towards to Solana from having their actual? I think they were at L1 initially or having their own
Yeah.
chain, but now
Yeah.
they're in Solana. How do you think their user experience changed? Whether was it a faster process? Like like? Can you
Yeah.
explain a little bit more?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that migration was a very smart move for them. It definitely allowed Helium to be more usable. Definitely. And as someone who's like worked on the redesign of the Helium governance product and currently focused on updating and upgrading the Helium wallet, I actually personally think the Helium wallet is one of the most utilitarian out there. Um, it's it's because not only is it a wallet to hold your assets, um, but you can also participate in the governance straight through the app. You see the proposals in the app instead of having to go to Snapshot or go to Discord, then go to Snap. Well, in Helium, you still have to be in Discord as well. But at the very least, you don't have to view the proposals on a. Frankly, I think Snapchat has poor design from a mobile perspective and stuff.
I even agree with you because normally like I would just get notifications like of new proposals coming out just by having that wallet on my phone, and it keeps you like updated like on what's going on if you don't have the time to literally like do the research. So I think that's a very good point and good aspect.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and then me, I also run a logistics company, so like I like the fact that I don't know if you know about Hive Map. Was it a Hive Map or something? Hive Mapper.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, could you explain a little bit more about that to us?
Oh, good question. Before I go into that, I forgot to mention. Obviously, we all know Solana has low fees, so that definitely has made it easy for people to use. I think that's definitely one of the biggest blockers in the Ethereum ecosystem, right? With all these high fees, um, and yeah. Anyway, I have to admit, I haven't really been able to touch upon anything related to Hive Mapper in my experience working with them so far. So I unfortunately don't have much to say about that for now. However, I will say that one of the upcoming projects that I'll get to work on is on the Explorer, which is going to intersect with that, or that's going to be a part of that. Um, so yeah, but I have nothing to say for about
Very
it now.
cool. Yeah, it's cool. I like the Explorer. That's you're talking about for Helium.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's really nice. It's like it gives you it's a map basically. So that goes in again to the user experience. Like I do like how like these new explorers, like even some explorers that you may see like from like they shows attestations like a relationship between wallet addresses and all that. Like the visual aspect is really eye grabbing, and it's to me personally, I like that way more than just start going deeper and looking through numbers and transactions to see like what is going on. If I can visually see it, I feel like it's almost a game. And like it's, I mean, I just like the visual aspect, and then Helium does a great job, a very great job with that. But I understand it's not really Human Foundation that works on Explorers. They're like third parties that do that, or how can somebody get involved if they're a front end developer and would like to partake in something that you guys are working on?
Sorry, could you ask that again?
I said that I understand that I don't think it's Helium Foundation that actually work on the Explorer. I believe there's third party contractors that actually do that. How would somebody be able to get involved if they're a front end developer and they would like to partake in the Helium ecosystem, in the Solana Helium ecosystem?
This is okay. So honestly, I'm not actually working directly with the Helium Foundation. I'm working indirectly with them through an agency, a design agency. Uh, so that is actually one way you could potentially get a job with Helium, is to work at an agency that is able to close a job. Sorry, close a project or whatever with Helium. Um, but outside of that, the only other thing is I could say is, apart from applying online for the job, they could just go to Discord and raise their hand and make a proposal.
Exactly.
That
So
stuff.
there's no way to actually fill out a form for a proposal or put a proposal out. There's no activity.
No. You can. You can go to their Discord.
Okay.
Yeah, Helium has a very active Discord, um, and and I think the guys are very dedicated. So I mean, the leaders are very dedicated. So they definitely will be very uh, I think keen to having people pose their willingness to contribute. However, then again, I mean, I also don't know how well Helium is doing from a financial perspective during this bear market as well. So I'm not sure if they're able to hire right now.
But soon they just might be. Soon they just might be. Let's
Yeah.
go back to the security aspect. Like, how? What do you think about like the security measure? How, like, of course, it's a good thing in space to have things open source and be able to like trace transactions. Like when it comes to some financial situations, I don't believe that each person would want their wallet activity out there on the chain. Like, how is that like looked at from a security aspect?
So there's a push and pull type relation to that. Everything being open source, you can prevent things like FTX's collapse, right? Everyone can see their financial balance sheet. They can see when things are heading south. So in that aspect, it can be good to have open source, full transparency. But at the same time, I understand. Let's say you won the lottery, and all your friends start wanting handouts from you. You don't necessarily want to do that. You might want to make sure that your family's set up first, and you don't want people trying to ask for handouts. So it's definitely important to have a level of privacy, and I think that is a big part of crypto when it started to take off with like Bitcoin, is people aren't knowing who's spending this money. There's a lot of great tech that's coming out with zero knowledge proofs to help hide that. And like Aztec Network, there's like a ton of different protocols. There's Tornado Cash that was you know fairly um, big in the news for being sanctioned by the government, unfortunately. But there are ways that you can hide, not necessarily hide, I don't want to say hide, but you can keep that information private. And I think that it is good for personal security. And I do say a lot of these systems are trusted. Like with zero knowledge proofs, one thing that I'm working on right now is building out a bot that looks through their systems, and without going into too much depth, because everyone can get lost in the zero knowledge proof tech. It's so crazy, but there's ways to check to make sure that there's not bugs that are allowing people to counterfeit transactions. So it's going back to the auditing. Make sure that your code is audited. Make sure that you're having other people outside of the protocol look at it. There's tons of people on Twitter who have in their bio DM for audit. So making sure that the people who are building this technology do a good job is important. And then on top of that, like as a user, you should be using these things. You don't. It's not everyone's right to know your financial history.
Yeah, I think Polygon, was it Polygon ID? They had
Yes.
a pretty good project where that's kind of having both worlds of the UI and the security aspect of it. where they don't actually give you the information. You have to make the request, and then the request will just answer true or false. Like, does this person have $1,000? True or false? It just says true, versus giving you that blank number.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Do any of you have anything to add as with the aspect of like UI? We've talked a lot about user experience and a lot about the security measures and aspect. What about interfaces? Like, let's focus a little bit on that. Go ahead.
Sure. Sure. But I feel like I didn't get to say anything about the security stuff, so I'm just gonna make a quick comment there.
Go right ahead.
I've actually been able to work on some cool improvements in terms of transaction security and safety with the Helium wallet. But I'm not going to actually go into detail about it. I'm just going to say if you have the Helium wallet, be on the lookout for it.
Which
yeah,
wallet?
Helium wallet.
Oh, yeah.
But basically, I worked on a lot of like preventative. How do we, create more of a preventative user experience a user experience for preventative measures to make sure that people don't get rugged. Yeah. And it involved just basically a lot of surfacing of data to make it more human readable and whatnot for the user. Yeah. And then as for UI and refi, I can't provide like a definitive perspective on all of the refi world because that's like a PhD level research project.
Seriously.
But I can comment on like a couple that I've used. One of the popular refi projects out there is HaloFi, right? Are you familiar?
No, actually, can you please give a little bit of description?
Sure.
Can you describe
HaloFi
it?
used to be called Good Ghosting. They're one of the like most popular and biggest refi projects on the Celo ecosystem or in the Celo ecosystem. They're all about creating savings pools or investment pools essentially for like that are refi related. I can't easily pitch it, but honestly, the UI for HaloFi, despite its popularity, is not very good. It's very overwhelming. It's very busy. It's very just hard to understand what's the first thing the user should do, essentially. And I feel like that's a common problem in refi and DeFi. It's just incredibly overwhelming. And we need to do a better job of just presenting information that is more easily digestible for the user and has more guidance. We also need to provide better guidance. Yeah.
How can we onboard more front end developers into this Web3 space? Because there's a lot of good projects and a lot of mechanisms that's out here, but the UI or UX aspect is just honestly trash. Like the UX experience in Web3, in my honest opinion, is trash. Like
Yeah.
you have to really be deep in the space to even understand what's going on. How can we make it a little bit more like attractive to just JS coders? I mean, now that we have, go ahead.
Yeah, you going? Is that question tied to the whole? We want to get the first billion users on Web3, because if it is, then it's like, okay, well then, what is your grandma going to use? And if you start asking that question, then it's like probably some sort of Gmail integration or something like that. Where she doesn't have to remember her private keys, or there's several projects out there that are already trying to do that.
Yeah, like
I would say that even goes down to the protocol level of being able to build out a product that doesn't take 2 clicks. You don't have to approve tokens, don't have
Totally.
to
Yeah.
then transfer them,
Exactly.
Totally.
And also, I think we need more utilitarian products. One of the reasons why I think a lot of us are in refi is because I think refi has this beautiful concept of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You get to make money and help make the world a better place.
that's why I'm in it.
Right? That's I think why there's a lot of people who became regens, right? Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. But how do we bring that to the masses, right? And I think we need to take a page out of how the industry has made social impact an accessible thing currently, and then evolve from that. So I'm going to give an example, and this I think is a multi-million-dollar idea that I might even think that I shouldn't pitch.
I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes.
This might be actually a killer refi app or solution. So currently, what is one thing that's become commonplace in our commerce experiences. Whenever we go shopping, whether it's online or in person, what is one common thing that is happening is asking you to donate, right? A portion of your purchase to a charity, or asking you to offset your travel, right? Or so this is now embedded in all checkout processes,
It is.
IRL and URL. What if instead of that, because that is now something that people are very reticent to doing, and there's become a lot of memes about it. There's become a lot of just like recognition that putting the responsibility on the average consumer to make positive change is wrong. A lot of users are waking up to that it shouldn't be their responsibility. It should be the responsibility of the elite. So what if instead of in the checkout process asking you to donate a little bit to charity, it asks you to stake in a refi pool or something like that?
I think that would be a great idea if they could simplify that at the checkout, like at the checkout lane or a POS. But yeah, that's definitely a thought there. That's definitely a thought
Yeah,
there.
they already have your KYC because you're checking out with your credit card, etc. So yeah, it makes sense.
Exactly. I did have a great time having a conversation with you, gentlemen.
Yep, you
and
too.
There's a lot to learn here, and I appreciate you for actually coming here with Kingfisher Entertainment. And I hope I'll see you guys around ETH Denver. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Right, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's grow.
Let's grow.
Let's grow.
Yes, let's grow.